Hey, I'm Myles Smith and I'm here with guitar.com and you're watching my guitars and me. This is a Lowden C34. This is a guitar that was gifted to me by Ed Sheeran and the first reason why I fell in love with Lowden. I met Ed at a football game. It was Arsenal v Ipswich. I'm a huge Arsenal fan. And he invited me down to the game and we won, of course. But yeah, we became friends really quickly, and we had a lot in common. And so, not long after meeting him, I went to his house, I gave him a pair of custom trainers, and in return, he gave me a guitar worth far more than a pair of custom trainers. For me, this guitar plays a big part of both my recording and live, mainly live, because, the guitar it's lightweight, it's sort of got the resonance and the body that makes running around on stage a lot of fun, and it just suits how I play. I think for me, the reason why this guitar stood out to other guitars is just the way that it reacts to your playing. It's like, it could be really intimate and really loud all at the same time, and you don't often find that with guitars, especially, the way that we've got it DI'd with the LR bags inside and our setup outside of it. It's like the perfect fun instrument. You can't go wrong with it. You can't overplay it and you can't underplay it, and it just carries itself so well. And I think for me, with the low action of the guitar and its playability, it's just really fun, and it makes the guitar something that you don't have to think about when you're trying to play to thousands of people. The way that I play acoustic is super unconventional. I think part of that comes from being self-taught, and part of it comes through having to find ways to make it feel creative in environments that really don't want music playing. I remember I used to play in pubs and clubs when I was smaller and, tried to be convincing the guy at the back with a Guinness, having a very miserable day, that I was going to be the next superstar. And a much cheaper, very out of tune guitar is a hard job to do that on. So, learning how to play a bit more percussively and rhythmically and trying to make it feel like you've got a band when you've only got your voice and an instrument is a hard job. But also a job that really allowed me to learn how to play guitar my way. I think for me, my earliest inspiration was sort of like watching Labyrinth in his early days. It wasn't like commonly shown, but he played guitar a lot live, and being a black pop artist in the UK, wasn't a huge thing back then. So he really showed me that like I could go out and play guitar. But also, Ed was a huge inspiration when I found his first EPs and then his first album Plus, and just listening to the records really just be guitar and a little bit of additional production. It just all made it seem possible, and so I was dying to pick up a guitar. I think my first guitar was a Martin, actually, because Ed had a Martin range at the time, and so yeah, and now I'm on a Lowden, so I guess I follow the Ginger Prince wherever he goes. I think for me, when it comes to making music, it's like keeping it as true to life as possible. Like, if I can't play it on stage and it doesn't sound like it does on the record, I've probably done too much on the production. So I always try to make it feel super real, super intimate, and like super like in the room with me. I think that's a big part of the music that I make, and why you get odd notes or notes that shouldn't necessarily be in a song, or mistakes, or certain passes of guitars and different voicings, because they're like the things that make music real for me. And I think I just create music to be played live, and if I can't play it live, I won't do it. This is a Lowden GLJ. It's a hollow body electric guitar. It's one of my favorites. I think it's based off the 335, because I used to play 335, but this is light, so I love this thing. Could rock out all day. I guess for me, it was a really awesome experience. I got to meet George and Aaron, who sort of like run Lowden up in Belfast, which was super cool. And I said I wanted an electric, and they sort of went away and put this together, which was such an awesome experience. And for me, I've never been a good enough guitar player to play lead. So being a rhythm guitarist, it sort of met the best of both worlds, where I could sort of play it like it's an acoustic guitar, but it responds and sounds like an electric guitar, which is like a really awesome blend. And coming from the 335 world to this, being on stage with something so lightweight has made my life an absolute dream rather than walking off stage with a bad back. I think my favorite part of this guitar is probably the neck profile. It's like a bit wider, so it honestly feels like you are holding an acoustic guitar, which makes it even more awesome. And yeah, the handmade pickups that they got in this, I think they're called Lola or something like that. They're just incredible. So yeah, I love this thing. When I'm deciding between acoustic and electric, it usually comes down to like what the song's asking for. Sometimes in my music I incorporate electronic elements, and so there's a little bit more grit, there's a little bit more push and a little bit more bite. What it's doing isn't really like emulating any sounds or creating any sounds that are not there. It's just sort of like amplifying the sounds that you sort of get from a hollow body. When I came up in sort of like indie bands and things, I definitely loved my drives and crunches and, you know, all of the fun toys. But, you know, really it's quite like a stripped back setup. Like I do use a Quad Cortex to run through it. And I'm probably the worst person to have a Quad Cortex considering I use about 2% of its capability. I think it's more because my guitarist had one, I wanted one more than anything. Live is always trying to sort of take what exists and you know, embellish it so people know it's worth coming to a show rather than, you know, buying a ticket to listen to a vinyl, you know. Like I think what this allows me to do is like embellish what already exists and have more fun with what already exists. And you know, a big part of when we're in the studio is like, okay, we like 9 out of 10 sounds on this record, but how do we get it to 10 out of 10? And that's sort of where the fun comes when the record's done, about what tones can we add, you know, what fills can we add and what sonics can we add through the guitar just to bring it to the place that we want it to be. My journey with guitar started when songwriting started. It was my way of being able to write music, so I guess my journey with the guitar has mirrored my journey as a songwriter in that I didn't know how to write a song and I didn't know how to play guitar, but I wanted to do both. And so the more competent I got at being able to play guitar, the more I was able to get better at songwriting. And I think that for me, it's always been an extension of my songwriting, like picking the parts and, you know, picking the chords and figuring out where a song goes has always sort of grown in line with like which lyrics I choose and which melody layers I use when I'm vocaling. And so can't really think of many examples where I haven't started with the guitar. As an instrument, it forces me to be grounded, because when it's just me and my guitar alone, I could be as honest as I need to be in those moments. Sort of the intimate process that it is, which is like me expressing the things that I struggle to say out loud, has always been the basis of my music. Someone said to me once, like, great songs should sound great if you stripped away all the production, and I think that I always challenge myself to fall in love with a song before I even bring it into a studio. And so I think, yeah, this has always been central to who I am, always been central to the music that I make, and I couldn't imagine being a songwriter without it. I've been Myles Smith with guitar.com, and thank you for watching My Guitars and Me. Me and my guitars. My guitars and me. All of them. This guitar, me.